Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance Wrestling. I am your host, Bobby Sampson. Mr. Michaels, unfortunately, preoccupied, has some other things going on today. We will get him back for the boxing show later this week. But in the meantime, and in between time, as Mr. Ed Whalen would say from Stampede Wrestling, we have the co founder and our home of Samp&Chance, the Wrestling Society Network, Professor Bear, Hall of Famer himself. Professor, how are you, sir?
Man, I am doing wonderful. I'm just happy that I finally get a chance to come on your show and drop a little bit of my knowledge and some of my interesting takes, shall we say.
Absolutely. So, Professor, the first thing I'd love to ask you very simply, I think everyone asks is, how'd you get into wrestling? Well, I'm not that kind of guy. Here's how I like to ask the question. Did wrestling find Professor Bear, or did Professor Bear find wrestling?
Wrestling found Professor Bear, and it was because of my father.
Okay.
He was a big wrestling fan. And of course, when dad is something in the house, generally everybody has to either get on board or just suffer through it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. For me, it was Taxi and the Mash.
ah, yeah. So, my dad, he loved wrestling. He would take us to it all the time. And at the time, one of the big things were I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. I always been here. One of the things that were really big in the early '80s was Georgia Championship Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and it you could set your clock by it. It came on at 6:05 Eastern Saturdays, so everybody knew either you had these choices. You could one sit down and watch wrestling with him. Two, you could be in your room or somewhere else, not making any noise. Or three, be out the house and don't come back in until after it's over with. That's
Mm-hmm.
what your choices.
That's awesome.
So I was the youngest in my family, so and I was a big baby, so I always wanted to stay under my dad. So uh, that's how I got into wrestling.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you find that wrestling at that time, like, we know what wrestling is today, but when you look at your childhood, do you almost look at do you feel like for a lot of people it was a security blanket and something to look forward to for the weekend? Because in the smaller communities, like that show, the one that came on, the wrestling show with Stephen Amell and everything.
Right.
um how closely did that depict to the childhood memories that you have?
It it was it was a little close to it. I think one of the different things is the time because it was and I hate using this, but it is the truth. It was a more simpler time because you didn't have a ton of choices.
Hmm.
And especially if back then, if you didn't have cable TV, you only had maybe 3 to 4 channels you could watch.
Right.
And so we used to play more outside, be able to do more things like that. Um, with wrestling, I think it was like, oh man, looking forward to this. You knew they were going to put on an event, and they made it where they sold the event as something like a smaller WrestleMania.
Sure,
If you
sure.
missed it, you missed the free world, and you got so invested, and the character work for the wrestlers too. They did such an amazing job of selling to the audience why you should spend your hard-earned money to come see me beat up this guy or get revenge on this guy.
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough. So from your humble beginning of watching wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, you just kind of carried on. Was there any point in your life where you said, "I want to do this"?
Oh yeah. It was a bunch of points. I was like, man, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. Um, well, unfortunate and fortunate for me, I didn't have the drive to do the research on how to become a wrestler.
Okay.
But funny enough, my oldest brother, he knew wrestlers and he knew um, how to get into the business. But I never really told him I wanted to be a wrestler. He knew
Oh,
how much I love wrestling, and he at the time I have two brothers, a sister, and two half sisters. So, and I live with my brothers and sisters. I didn't live with my half sisters, but they were older than me. My oldest brother is a 10-year age different than
oh
my
wow.
then my next brother is a 9-year. Then my sister is a 7.5.
Okay.
So when they graduated high school and stuff, I was just in elementary.
Oh wow.
So, but they babied me.
Sure.
That's one thing. They spoiled the world out of me. And so at the time when I was growing up, middle school and high school, all three of them lived in Atlanta.
Okay.
And my brother, he worked for a car rental place,
Okay.
and he hung out with wrestlers. Used to go drinking with them and everything. So he got to meet him, get me autographs. So I could have gotten into it, but I guess then too, when you're younger, you have that. Hey, you need to focus on trying to get a real job.
Hmm.
So, and I didn't try to pursue it, but have a funny story that my brother did, and you would never believe who he was getting trained by.
Great tell.
Abdullah the Butcher.
Ooh. Wow.
He said in the second week, he he was running the ropes, and Abdullah got in the ring with him and uh, to told him, okay, we're gonna try this chop drill. He said it took one chop from Abdullah to let him know he was not built for wrestling.
Oh man.
He said he felt it for 3 days after him chopping him. So,
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Bear, I have this question here for you. So starting off, and I think all of us start off kayfabe, right? We all start off kayfabe. I don't care what anybody says. Um, when did you get smartened up to the business and how did you react? Like for myself, it was at a house show. And if I told you that The Undertaker and Yokozuna were the guys that smartened me up, that's the story there. So they had Vancouver at that time. This is the one good thing I will say about Mr. McMahon, like him or hate him or love him. He ran house shows and he made it available to everybody. And we used to get a lot of house shows when I was a kid. I don't know what the drop off was later on. I think it became a tax issue here in Canada, in Vancouver. It just cost too much in taxes for the company to come out. But in the 80s and part of the early 90s, we got a lot of tons of shows. So I was at the casket. It was a casket match between Yoka and Taker, building off their feud. And obviously Taker wins. He leaves the ring. And at that time, they didn't cover the top of when they walk into the back.
oh, okay.
So I could see them walking through all the way into the back area, right? So Taker finishes match and he walks out and I see him standing there. And then they roll out the casket and then Yoko gets out. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Are they going to fight? And go, Taker, look out. And he turns around and then they hug. And I saw that and I'm like, part of my language, fuck. Right? Like this is 7, 8 years of my life I've dedicated to this. and my favorite guy is hugging the guy. Like I literally had a lump in my throat when they lit the casket on fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And here I am watching my favorite guy hug his arch nemesis. Long story short, it took me about 6 months to get back to wrestling because I hated it after that for 6 months. How did you get smart? What happened?
My brother,
Oh,
my brother, I think the particular time it was me, my brother, and my dad sitting around watching wrestling. And I think uh, so we were talking about different wrestlers, and I think at the time Ivan Koloff was in the ring wrestling, and my
sure.
brother mentioned that he was a former world champion. And I'm like, no, he wasn't. So he's like, yeah, he was, and I'm like, okay. So in my head, I'm like, okay, he must be kidding. He's trying to fool me because he's a bad guy. Ain't no way he was a former world champion. So then I can't remember the two wrestlers who came in, and then he said, "Oh, they're brothers," and I'm like, "No, they're not, and they're fighting. You wouldn't fight your brother. I wouldn't fight you." And he's like, "Yeah, they're brothers." Huh. So now I'm really confused. Then the kicker of it all, him and dad were talking, and he was telling them that he hung out with Terry Funk of all people. He was hung out with Terry. They had did a house show here in Knoxville, and he said Terry was there, and Terry Funk at the time was a heel,
Sure.
and he was hanging out with, I can't remember the wrestler, but he was a face. And immediately, I'm like, you're lying. You're lying. They don't hang, they're enemies. They wouldn't be hanging out with you. Well, my brother then reached around. He said, if I wasn't hanging out with Terry Funk, how do I got this? It was a signed autograph from Terry Funk.
There you go.
So it was when I younger, my brother just ruined everything
I'm
for me.
sorry, man. At least you
But
were at home. At least you're at home. I was in the arena.
right, but and here's the kicker to it though. I'm glad that he ruined it early for me
Sure.
and smarted me up, because a lot of different angles took place, and I was able to compartmentalize it and understand a lot better and not get so drawn into the heels and face dynamic.
I think once you get smart, you appreciate the art form more. And I think it changes the perspective in which you start to view it. And in our roundtables that we've done for the main event mafia, guys, you got to check us out. We're going to be coming out strong here eventually. But when we do hit, you look at world. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But that being said, and with the things that we've talked about in the past and everything, it's just kind of like we don't look at wrestling as my daughter would. And that's why I enjoy watching it with her because it's still from like she's smart. I've smartened her up. I mean, I had to because I didn't want her to be picked on at school or anything, right?
Right,
Stuff like that. Um,
right.
but I don't think she does anymore. But I will never ever be the guy to tell her that Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and any of those things don't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, pardon me, I still put out the cookies and milk and do all that stuff. So I'm sure she's smart to it, but I like to pretend she's not. But
Right.
did smarten her up for wrestling, right? And but she still watches it at a different level than you and I do, and most of the people in our genre do. And I think being smart to it is a big part of that. You have to get smart in order to get to the next level of fandom.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with that. my wife, she watched wrestling every blue moon, but wasn't a big fan, of course, like me or anybody. So when we started dating, immediately, hey, I'm a wrestling guy, so I watch wrestling. Is no putting wrestling off. It's wrestling. So she's watching with me, and she was like, "Oh my God, baby, what is this? Baby, what's this? Who's gonna win?" So I'm smarting her up, and she's like, "Oh, I want to go to WWE when they come. Okay, we'll figure it out." Well, every time they come, something came up and we couldn't go. But then I was going to an indie show, and I'm like, well, I'm about to go to this wrestling. You've been saying you want to go to wrestling. You want to go to this? She's like, okay. Oh my God. She loves indie wrestling way more better than WWE.
The
And
intimacy.
yes. And that's what she was like. Oh my God. I can't believe this. And one of the guys had a snake, a live snake. And I kept telling her, I was like, yeah, he come anywhere close, um, he getting hit, and I'm stepping on that snake. I hate snakes. So I just telling her, I'm like, he get around. I'm telling you. Luckily he didn't. But
Hmm.
we had two wrestlers doing a brawl. And of course, luckily this particular indie show had guardrails. Well, he got through over the guardrail right by me, and he hit me.
Oh
Well,
no.
so okay, no problem. It's part of the act. So he punched the guy, goes to springboard off the rail, steps on my foot, and jumps off the guardrail. And I'm like, oh, that's twice. That's twice in my head. That's twice. Now, look, I can ignore stuff, but you ain't going to continue hitting me, touching me. So after the match, they had an intermission and they were out selling. And he walked by me. I was like, hey, man, great match. But if you touch me one more damn time, me and you going to fight.
No.
And of course, he thinks I'm serious because I'm serious voice and stuff. I'm a man. I'm just joking. I know it was an accident, and she enjoys it so much now. She always, when we going to wrestling again? When we're going to wrestling
That's
again?
awesome.
So
Yeah,
that,
no,
that was
ironically enough, it almost feels like some of our stuff is very parallel. So when I met my wife, I told her the same thing. I love wrestling. Right. And I was expecting her to turn around and leave, and like I was okay with that, right? I mean,
right,
I don't mind being single and being a wrestling fan. I'm at that point in life. You know what I mean? If if
right.
if I never had the opportunity. And she goes, okay, well, how often does it come on? Well, fortunately at that time, there was only two shows, Raw and SmackDown. There was no AEW. I didn't get Ring of Honor. We didn't get TNA up here. So I said, yeah, just, twice a week. Now she goes, there's wrestling every day. You watch wrestling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on the weekends, and then it's boxing. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that, well, I'm not watching TNA on Thursday. But it all works out beautifully. But Professor, so you're going all through all these things. How does the WSN, the Wrestling Society Network, which we're a part of, everybody. So if you guys are watching this, make sure to check out WSN. We're on Roku, we're on Apple TV. You can download the apps here. We're also on Patreon for $1. You can get some amazing content. That's cheaper than a cup of coffee now, I believe. I don't think a cup of coffee is under $1.50. I maybe even more. Who knows, right? That's Canadian. I don't know what's happening down in the States, how much a
It's
coffee costs these
worse.
days. But guys and girls, you need to check out the network. It's amazing. You got me, you
And
got the professor, you got Joe Monroe, you got Mike from the 313. I'm just announcing my brothers, the four mafia dudes. And you got so many other great shows that are available. I'm the first Canadian on the network. We also have a Brit on the network now as well. So we're going international, baby. Documentaries, game shows, you name it, watch alongs, anything that you want that's wrestling can be found there. So make sure to check out WSN.
and
Okay.
it's free. And it's free.
And it's free. Absolutely. You are the co-founder of Wrestling Society Network, which we lovingly call WSN. Tell us how the Wrestling Society Network came to be.
Well, this was the brainchild of the other co-CEO, Brady Owens, and it was back in 2017, I believe, that he had this idea and he wanted to do wrestling and podcasts and stuff. So he set out to do it. Well, of course, he had a hard time doing it by himself. And I think he said in 2019 he just stopped because it was just really getting to him. So he decided when the pandemic hit, he decided, I'm gonna try this again, but I need a team around me. So he started advertising on Facebook, um, asking people if they wanted to do a podcast. Well, I happened to see it, and I thought to myself, yeah, I could do that. I'm a pretty knowledgeable guy. Then I was like, nobody gonna want to hear me. So I left my computer room and went to the living room and sat down where at the time she was my girlfriend, my wife now. She was sitting there and I told her about it. And she just looked at me and she's like, okay, did you send it in? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why not? And I was like, well, because I don't think nobody want to listen to me talk about wrestling. She's like, baby, you a debater. You'll debate anybody. You would debate God if he came down. So I sat there for a few minutes, and in my head, I say, yeah, I would debate God. I will be very humble and be, be like, please, Lord, I'm not trying to be, but I think, and go on.
I buy
So,
that pay-per-view.
so about 5 minutes later, I got up, went back into my computer room, and sent. He was asking for like a minute, 2 minute video of why you think you could be a good podcast host. So I sent it in, and I promise you, probably 15 minutes later, he hit me up, and we had a nice little conversation. And he said, "Okay, you're in."
Sweet.
And I'm thinking, wow. So from there, he got a team, and we first did our first podcast, and you can still hear this. All this podcasts are on Spotify,
Awesome.
still there. I don't go back to listen to them because I hate the sound of my voice, but that's another story. But we went, and then after I think about 5 episodes, he talked to us and was telling us his dream and his vision of where he wanted to go. So I'm like, oh man, I'm down with that. And uh, from there, we just kind of slowly built our mark. It started with our podcast. Then we started doing the 2K
Sure.
video game league, which really did great numbers. I mean, we were so shocked that we were getting views in Russia and uh, all over the world. It blew our minds, and it just started snowballing from there. And here
Here we are
we are
today.
now.
Here we are. The world is small. And I want to give a shout out here to Crandall Q. He's a cheesehead. As you can see, it doesn't really blend well with what I have on today. But shout out to the Steelers who want to know we're that, we're that much closer to the Super Bowl. But hey, man, it's only one game, but I was happy. I thought Rodgers was not as I looked at it this way. I thought he threw more touchdowns than Russell Wilson did his whole time in Pittsburgh. Um,
Hey, I can't argue with you.
right. So, it's lots of work there, but without Crandall Q, it was Crandall Q who connected me to Mike D. and I built a relationship with him, and it was through him that I found you guys. And even then, it wasn't even by design to introduce me to you. It's just we all ended up. That was probably the first time the main event mafia, or the main event roundtable got together,
Yep.
and we just kind of all hit it off. And then I remember asking you, so can I come play with you guys too a little bit? And then eventually, the clouds broke and the sun came through, and you could hear the and Samp joined the family. And I'll be honest, man, it's been an amazing experience for me. I've loved everything that I've done up to this point, but I got to say, the last 6 months have probably been the funnest I've had in terms of just being able to enjoy it, and not, even this right now. It's just it's there's no wait. There's no wait at all. It's just fun. It's just fun. Um, so we've just launched a Patreon page as well. It's brand new. Can you tell us what to expect from it? We got Brina, WrestleMania. Sorry, pardon me, WrestleMania.
Yes.
Our game show that we got the first episode. It's up there right now. We were a part of that first episode as well, which was a lot of fun. And one of those examples, I was on holiday, sitting in a field in watching my nephew play soccer, and I get the call, "Do you want to be a part of this?" So I got the permission from the powers that be, the wife, and I drove myself back to the condo and was a part of that. So, that's just kind of what I love about this. It's just anything can happen in any given time. And I've always prided myself to be that, one guy you can count on. Well, shit, call Sam. Maybe he'll do it. You know what I mean? So, that's just a beautiful feeling, and it was fun. What else can we expect from Patreon outside of that? What else are we going to get?
Well, I know Mike V and oh, Unc, they have a show
Right.
that that's Patreon exclusive. I know Mike V and dang, Brock Boulder have a show
Sure.
that Patreon exclusive. When I did my first um podcast solo, um, it was called Professor Bear Wrestling History Class.
Wicked.
And I brought that back, and it's Patreon exclusive, and it's me telling stories about wrestlers that I think need more love and has so much to do with wrestling history. I want the newer generations and people who just like wrestling history, maybe they'll learn something from it.
Well, hey,
Uh,
man, if you ever need someone to help you out with it, let me know.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Um,
Fantastic.
Brady Owens is for him to uh own the company. Brady don't like showing his face a lot. He don't like to do a lot, a
Well, to
lot of
be
that.
fair, I've been here for 6 months. I still have not met the man.
That's just Brady. But he actually has two things exclusive. One is called I can't remember the name of it, but it's a review on different wrestlers and stuff. And then he's gonna have a great one that I'm actually looking forward to, is following him in his daily routine.
Okay.
It is amazing of how much he does. The I mean, he works hard. The wrestling with the Wrestling Society, he working with a couple of independent promotions. It's an amazing journey that I think a lot of people will enjoy. But
Amazing.
all of this is Patreon exclusives. So, and with the Patreon page, I definitely want people to know it's not just about helping us grow, it's about giving back to independent wrestling, to promotions, to wrestlers, just people who are in need. We're big on supporting wrestling. So
But you never know any of these guys who are going to be called up to the big show one day, right? So
exactly. And on top of that, it's just, again, we're putting out content that we think that you enjoy, and to get you familiar with, like you said, uh, a lot of wrestlers, managers, just personalities that are striving on the indie scene that one day may be in the big leagues and may be the main event at WrestleMania or the main event at AEW All Out. So
right.
you just never know. So we want to introduce you to people, get to hear their stories and their, because I know a lot of people have the opinion that if you're a wrestler, oh, you make a ton of money, and you don't. A, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of wrestlers have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Some have two jobs
Yeah.
and still wrestle.
Yeah.
And it's not the money, it's for the love
Love
of
of the
the
game.
business.
Awesome, man. Look, the Patreon page looks amazing. I've become a part of it as well, obviously. But I mean, guys and girls, if you're out there, if you're listening, if you made it this far, you got to go check out the Patreon page. You got to check out WSN, Roku, Apple TV, Spotify, you name it, wherever you get wrestling, it's there. We're on Facebook, where we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on all the socials. X, I believe. Are we on X?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, we're on X as well. So, guys, there's no girls, there's no excuse. Find us. We're out there, and things are only going to get better here. Okay, Professor, I tell you what, let's talk about what's happening in the world of wrestling today. We had the return of AJ Lee, the worst kept secret in wrestling, I would have to say. Now, we've had a lot of returns this year. We had
Yes.
we've had a lot of returns. We had my personal favorite, Little Miss Bliss, came back. I didn't think I would have heard a louder pop than her return, but AJ outdid it.
Oh
Granted,
yeah.
it was in Chicago,
Yeah.
so that kind of helps us a lot. And the Q6 in the Allstate Arena, it was built for wrestling, right? I mean,
Right.
if Madison Square Garden is a mecca, then the Allstate Arena has to be considered a secondary mecca as well of wrestling in terms of what she
Definitely.
did. Were you happy to see her come back?
Uh, I was. I think what surprised me the most of is how fit she is, how in shape she is.
Amazing.
She is ripped. Good God Almighty. And the music, and this just hit me different because hearing her theme song versus the new music that WWE is doing, the old stuff blows it away,
Right.
hands down.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Jim Johnson and the crew there, man, back in the day, that's when the music was what. But to see her jump into the ring the way she did, and actually, I thought, in my opinion, when she came out, I thought she would just stand at the entranceway, and then, cut to black. But she made it all the way to the ring. She had the mannerisms, and she worked.
Yes,
And she didn't look like she missed a beat. Now, that's a testament to Becky as well, in my opinion, because,
yes,
it takes two. This is the thing about wrestling people. I always have to tell people it takes two. It's not your atypical fight, right? Yes, they're portraying a fight. They're doing everything that we want them to do, but it takes two people to make it look the way it does. And respect to Becky. I mean, of course, everybody knew she was coming out. Of course, everybody knew that was going to happen. We knew that the last segment, okay, 6:45. Well, seven, what would it be? 9:45 for you guys or something, or
yeah,
6:45 for us, right? It's just like, okay, this is the last segment, blah, blah, blah. She sold it like a champion herself. So a lot of respect to Becky Lynch, right? Because, like I said, it's kind of hard to sell something where everybody already knows,
yes,
right?
definitely.
So to have that happen, and she's going to be on AJ will be on Raw tonight, and for them to pull it off on SmackDown was interesting because they're all Raw competitors. They all belong to the Raw brand.
Yeah, and the only reason why they did it on SmackDown because they were in
They're in
Chicago.
Chicago, no, which totally makes sense, right? I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Um, so that being said, should we expect Paige back anytime soon?
Paige is one of those different ones for me because she had I say this with all due respect, um, uh, disappointing run in AEW. They didn't do the right storyline for her.
Right, but Professor, if you look at 90% of the WWE talent that went over there, who actually had a decent run outside of John Moxley, outside of Chris Jericho, and then we're talking about the big names here, right? I
Right.
mean, everyone else, if you think about it,
Well, Daniel
got
Bryan.
okay, outside of those three,
Right, right, right.
right? The rest of them, and it's a big number. It's not a small number. Three isn't a good look considering how many guys and girls have gone up that way and have just been fumbled, right?
Well, well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what the problem is, well, this is two things. One, everybody is not going to translate no matter who you are.
Sure.
This is the same issue when WCW was around. Yes, you're a name, but just because you jumped over to the other brand doesn't mean they're going to use you correctly.
Right, right, right.
Then I think with especially AEW, um, I'm probably one of the few people that actually likes Tony Khan as far as his booking strategy and stuff because I see what he's trying to do. Now, it may not always come across because you can't help the injuries. You can't help when people don't want to listen. So, again, but um, I think of the people that went over that was small names that actually got great success. Swerve Strickland is a prime example of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Look at Amber Moon, Athena. The, she's got the great. And I tell people this all the time. She is the greatest run of a woman's wrestler that nobody knows about because Ring of
Ring of
Honor
Honor.
just is hidden.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and of course, I can't say great runs without mentioning Tony Storm,
yeah.
one by far. And put anybody, I dare you to put anybody on a promo against Tony Storm, and I'm guaranteeing you Tony will burn them.
Tony Storm, in my opinion, is one of those rare incidents where she was able to make more out of herself away from the WWE than she was able to under their system. And I completely agree with you. I love Tony Storm. I love watching her work and this and that. And I look at what Blake Lively,
Oh,
Mariah is doing in NXT right now. And maybe it's taking to take her a little bit of time, but what she had there with Tony Storm was something special. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, but honestly, let's go back to Tony Khan. And you talked about, people not wanting to do what he's asking. Do you think that's because he's the money and the boys in the back don't respect him outside of that? You know what I mean? Like I understand that at a certain level, the money is always treated differently than the boys. The boys and the girls
right.
are here, and the money's here, and the money's always trying to be chummy and get in to the locker room, so to speak, with the boys and the gals.
I will say this, and you have mentioned this many times. The reason why Vince McMahon succeeded is because he did not mix up business and wanting to be one of the boys.
Yeah,
You knew who was the boss. There was no, hey, well, you're my friend. So, no,
yeah,
it was business, business, business.
yeah.
And that is Tony Khan's biggest problem.
Downfall. Yeah.
is that he wants to be a boy. I say this a lot too. Tony Khan is what I would probably be if I was in the wrestling business, because I am so drawn in with the guys and girls. I would want that, but I would have to separate that from the business of wrestling. And another big thing that Tony has an issue with that's been slowly corrected. You need people who actually done it to be able to put people in their place. Now that Daniel is not wrestling, he's there and he can actually, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this. I don't care if you don't like it. You break this rule, you're fine. And that's what they need.
Yeah.
Tony is, and again, Tony is a wrestling fan first and business second, where it needs to be business first, him second. I even say a person that does not get mentioned enough or get a lot of credit is the NWA president.
Oh,
Oh,
the guy from Smashing Pumpkins.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. His name eludes me right now.
if you see this, I apologize. My brain went blank. But the one thing everybody talk about, NWA is dead this, they trying to live on Old Glory. But what he's done and slowly built is back where people, a lot of people
Billy
love,
Corgan.
thank you, Billy. Billy has went back to a formula that they thought was dead, which is territory wrestling. And he has made so many strides in that program. People talk about, well, he doesn't have TV and this, that. He's been doing it slowly and consistently. And that's what I love. I'm a big NWA mark.
Yeah, no, I hate.
I,
I enjoy it.
you,
It's fun.
you can look at my belt collection. It's
There you
mostly
go.
NWA older belts.
No, no, I get it. I get it.
And he also is giving a lot of talent a way to get out, to express themselves, to be something different. The the worst time in wrestling is when WWE had a monopoly on everything.
Sure.
That's why, and that's why I tell people they ran everybody out of business. They didn't have competition. That's why they did the Raw and SmackDown separate brands, because they needed competition. But it's hard to have competition when you don't even stick to your own rules.
Yeah.
Just like the clear AJ Lee.
Yeah. Well,
They none of them should have been on SmackDown. They need to focus, but that's another entire rant I could go on
but
about.
I mean, realistically speaking, if they were to do it tonight, which is in Wisconsin, would they have gotten the same pop because they're from Chicago?
Well, no,
Right?
well, and that's very true, and I now understand why they did it, and it was the right thing to do. But again, if you're gonna make a rule and you're gonna break it every time,
Yeah.
then why in the hell did we have the rule?
Well, I almost feel they should just go back to the way it was, where, yeah, you have the brand split, but both brands work together to build up a show. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I get that completely. But on AEW, is WWE really see them as a form of competition based on all this WrestlePalooza, and does AEW actually have a bit of fear? Because in my opinion, if you didn't care and if you didn't have any issues with it, like, great, bring it on. Then why is Tony changing the time of the show so it doesn't coincide? Because the only problem I have with that, Bear, before I let you, reply to it, and I said this to you guys in the chat group, I said the only problem I have with this, you're starting your show early, but the meat and potatoes of that show, the one that you want everybody to be a part of, is when WrestlePalooza is going to be starting. So
All
how
right.
many eyes are you going to lose when you want the eyes the most?
So I'm so glad you brought this topic up. I and in that same chat, I thought it was a great move.
You did, and that's why I answered you back that way.
Right. Now, first of all, don't let WWE fool you. Of course, they think of AEW as competition because they didn't. They wouldn't have been doing what they've been doing the last year of just trying to take eyes off of AEW. That's one. Two, I think that WWE is setting themselves up because they'll make it. AEW goes early. How many pay-per-views have went this early? And and on top of that, it's in the like you were saying, where you were lucky being on the West Coast, you could watch pay-per-view and still have time to do things, right? Well, now AEW is going to hit that sweet spot where people like, man, I can watch wrestling. Then afterwards, hey, I can go out, I can do whatever. And as far as how many people they're going to lose, I look at it like this. If you start watching AEW and WWE comes on, are you going to switch? And let's say you're not like some of us that have ways of seeing both, you have to pay for. I'm not about to pay 39, 40, $50 and not watch that whole thing. I'm not. And
Yeah.
and okay, WWE is gonna start. Okay, let them start. I can catch it. I can catch up with it. Or what I don't see, I can always go back to see. I think this is a untapped market that WWE later is going to say, oh crap, we done messed up. Their numbers are going to be better going in the afternoons.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it is during football, which football kicks wrestling's butt every time.
Yep.
But the numbers will be there for, hey, they did so much better. Just like look at all in
Yep.
Texas. Their numbers did tremendous going at that time slot. And they didn't hardly have a drop off when Saturday night's main event came on because they had such an awesome world championship. People were so invested. It's like, oh, yeah, that too.
Well, I know WWE is doing weird tactics now as well. Like, there's, I know they're releasing this information themselves, like the match card, what to expect. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would have put the AJ Lee match or something that people want to tune into. So they're going to let you know the night's going to start with this match, and you know what I mean. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do in terms of that. I think the one problem though, Bear, is we're looking at time zones, and yes, I'm out here on the West Coast, right?
Right.
3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon is peak time for grocery shopping, for being out with the family. So from a West Coast perspective, it's hard to want to sit inside and watch wrestling at that point, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? So I mean, it could work in the East because you're starting at 6, and then WWE would start at 9. I don't know whatever time that would be, like
Well, no,
5, an hour,
actually,
an hour.
well,
Yeah,
we're starting at 3.
right.
Uh,
And
3
WWE would start at
AW.
5, so 8
They
p.m. your time. So
no,
three and
they would
five
be
mine, 6 and 8 yours.
right.
Yeah.
So
And most people are home by that time to settle in because it's the weekend. It's kind of like, if your kids and everything, now you're staying at home a bit more on a Saturday night because it's school weekend, et cetera,
right.
et cetera. So I'm gonna be kind of curious to see. I think what AEW has to do is give us something really, really special that we can't turn off.
And I think that's what they're
Looking
going
at the card
for.
right now, I don't know where they're going because I'm not sure what can be enticing outside of Edge and Christian for myself right now. There's
Right.
really nothing that makes me say, "Oh, okay, I got to tune in."
Well, the um, I think too that the match, Darby Allin and John Moxley coffin match is going to be pretty good.
No, that should be good too as well.
I'm looking forward to the four-way women's championship match.
Sure.
And I think, unlike WWE, I think they realize too, we're trying to build for a bigger pay-per-view
Sure.
where we're clear of them.
Right.
And on top of it, I think that the reason, well, I don't think I know. The reason why WWE is doing all this is because of TKO.
Oh, 100%.
TKO is about trying to get their
Money
business
back.
to be the only business in town.
Yeah.
That's why they went with ESPN early, because they're like, hey, they go to ESPN, we got all these people that's not going to pay for it. Yeah, we're going to lose a little bit, but we're going to stop them. And Tony was like, okay, I just go early.
Yeah, well, see, here's the other thing, though. I got to mention here, like when you look at AEW, you got wrestling fans who watch AEW. Okay,
Very,
whereas WWE has wrestling fans, but they attract more of the casual fan, right? So at the end of the day, what does AEW have to do to get some of those casual fans back? Because right now they don't have any market on the casual fan. It's all WWE, and based on this card, it's geared towards the casual fan, which is going to get them the bigger numbers, right?
right.
Um,
Like
and there's nothing wrong with any, sorry, there's nothing wrong with any of the matches. I'm looking forward to all those matches as well. But you have to be a wrestling fan in order to appreciate what we're getting on the AEW side.
I think they're playing the long game.
Let's
And
hope.
and 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 I don't mind that. And they, when AEW started, their first thing is we're giving you something that the WWE don't. They were not trying to be WWE like. Well, during the journey, they slipped into being WWE like. So now it's like, okay, we got to correct this. Let's get back to what we do and focus on what we do and not worry about what they do. Because if you notice, have you noticed that Tony Khan has calmed down about going off about WWE as much as he did? Somebody finally got in his ear and say, Tony, you're the boss, but shut up.
Yeah, stop poking the bear.
Yeah, they're going to be there. Yeah, okay, I get wanting to be number one, but to be number one, you got to play the long game. You
Yeah.
can't keep doing this stuff.
Well,
And
until they figure out how to be more engaging. A lot of their storylines are so discombobulated unless you tune in. Like even if you tune in week to week, it's different. It's no continuation a lot of time. I mean, outside of the Death Riders and Edge and Christian, for the most part, most of these matches I feel, and I'm not being critical, I'm just sharing with you what I've seen. You
right,
know, and what I see is a lot of these matches on these pay-per-views are just put together. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no story behind a lot of it. A lot of it, not all of it, a lot of it. And you know, if you don't know what's going on, then you're just basically watching a match.
well, and then sometimes I again, I'm the different mentality. I agree 100% that AEW is for wrestling fans, and WWE is for wrestling fan, but more entertainment and casual fans.
Trendy.
Yes, but I look at it like this: to be an AEW fan, you have to pay attention,
Yeah,
because if you don't, like you said, you don't know what's going on week to week. There's stuff that happens all the time. It's the way they put it together, and if you don't watch a show, it's going to throw you off.
100%.
WWE has, man, we can do this blindfold. We're going to let this run, and then we can culminate it this time.
Sure.
Well, and that's fine and dandy. The story can be simple, but sometimes the simple stories are the boring stories.
Hey, yeah, no, absolutely, man.
And they're and nobody ever really talks about how WWE, when they don't finish out the storyline, you don't hear a lot of complaints like that.
Yeah,
Like Carlito, he just poof.
yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
no
we
explain.
don't have to go any further than the last month. I mean, John Cena's nice again.
Exactly.
No rhyme or reason. I found myself. Where did you go, bro?
Exactly. Man, you need to put a tracker on yourself. Don't
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
don't
yeah.
separate from them.
No,
And that's
100%.
and so with again the way I look at wrestling and stuff. Sometimes I over wrestle because what we do, we watch a lot of different wrestling, and sometimes we will just I'm just tired. I keep watching wrestling. Now with WWE, there's a lot of times I won't watch it live. I used to be right there live,
Sure,
live,
sure.
live. Now I find myself, okay, I don't have to watch this live. I just wait until tomorrow and I can go through because half of the stuff is, oh God, this long drawn out
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. 16 different in-ring promos for no reason.
yeah.
Thank this is where WWE is terrible. Give you the same matches for 3 weeks straight. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, again, to your point, what have we been watching for the last month and a half? Every Raw ends with either Jay or Punk coming out to make a save. Like, guys, figure it out. You're getting your asses kicked every week. I'm like,
Stop being stupid.
yeah, yeah,
Stop
yeah,
being
yeah, yeah,
stupid.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. All right, brother man. I tell you what, we've been going at this for a little bit, so I'm gonna wrap it up here, which means we're
All
gonna have
right.
to have you back on to talk more wrestling. Um, so brother Bear, thank you so much for coming on for the first time. WSN in the house here, co-founder. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking to Professor Bear. You can check him out on Patreon. You can check him out on the Wrestling Society Network, a Bear Slot. Great podcast, great interviews, great insight, beautiful, beautiful content available for everybody there as well. So, that all being said, Professor, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an honor and a privilege. And yeah, man, can't wait to have you back on again.
Thank you so much. Anytime you need me, man, I'm right here.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, guys, my name is Bobby Sampson. He is the professor, Professor Bear. Guys and gals, remember, if you want it, you got to work for it. If you don't work for it, then don't complain. If you believe in God and you think God's going to give it to you, He's going to give it to you, but you got to put the work in. The key word here is hard work and having patience and believing in yourself and not listening to the people in the world that tell you you can't. Because if they're saying you can, it's because they're afraid to either try or they can't. Samp and the professor are out.